I know.
Vancouver on.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 11th Committee of the Whole meeting. I'll be your chair this evening as Councillor Quinn has sent her regrets. And as you know, we start with our land acknowledgement. So on August 11th, we acknowledge that this sacred land on which Smiths Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We're grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and the water in order that we might meet here today. We're also grateful to the Algonquin people for the contribution in the making of the Reader Canal, which, as you know, runs through Smiths Falls. We're mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace, friendship, and being mindful of generations to come. Call the meeting to order at 5:01. We have a recommended motion that the August 11th Committee of the Whole meeting be approved as circulated. Moved by Councillor Brennan, seconded by Councillor Robinson. Any amendments or changes? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest? Clear now or at any time in the meeting? None. We have no minutes to approve, no delegations. And I'll ask our CEO if we have any director's reports.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. We have two this evening, starting with Director Clark.
Good evening, everyone. I'm not going to be too excited, but this is day one post Old Home Week, day two post Old Home Week, and I'm very tired. So my director's update pertains to that, and I just wanted to take a moment to recognize and thank the many people who made Old Home Week such an incredible success. First, my sincere thanks to my colleagues in Public Works, Corporate Services, Police and Fire in particular. Your expertise, presence, and behind the scenes problem solving, which was not insignificant, ensured that the festival ran safely and smoothly from start to finish. Massive thanks to Council for all the support and the financial contribution along the way. Huge congratulations to the community organizers and every single person who took part, from those who ran events to volunteers, our residents and visitors who showed up in such strong numbers in spite of the blistering heat on the last couple of days as well. This really was a true community celebration, and your energy brought it to light. A very special shout out goes to the Old Home Week Task Force. I got to know them pretty closely over the last 18 months. Hopefully they'll stop calling me now, but they're welcome to continue, but just at a more reasonable time. Your dedication, creativity, and 2 years of planning paid off in ways that will be remembered for many years. And finally, for me, closest to home, I want to recognize my own team. I'm very, very proud of them all. To Cynthia, Trevor, Kyle, and Ron in particular, and every one of your staff, thank you for pulling off the complex choreography that made this festival actually possible. Every single detail came together because of your leadership, coordination, and commitment, and I'm incredibly proud to work alongside this crew. I'm very grateful that they all stepped up in unimaginable ways, and they make this town look really, really good. So, and this department, and I really appreciate that. So thank you to everyone who came out and participated. I hope you had fun. I certainly did. Float Fest was a dream come true. That's all I got.
Beautiful.
Thanks very much. And I know that the committee will be doing a final report with a budget and probably coming back to council at a later date, and we could have a chance to probably do something. We'll get some sense of what the impact has been, but everything Director Clark said and more, so thank you very much for that. We'll have, it's not quite over till we seal up the time capsule and, as I say, bring back a budget, and some fascinating numbers we have that we're putting together. So yeah, it was a blast. And you can see why we only do it every 25 years. Any other reports?
Just one, and it's kind of on the same theme. I just wanted to acknowledge Stephanie's effort. She put an incredible amount of time into the event, and I think her coordination and leadership shows in a big way. So thank you, Stephanie, for that. And she's got an incredible team of people that helped with that. The only other one I would add is the Heritage House Museum stepped up, had a lot of programming, a cemetery tour, a ghost walk, very scary stuff, but people loved it. I think 15 registered for the cemetery walk, and 65 showed up. So it was an incredible turnout. So thanks to the folks out there that did a lot of additional programming in addition to what they already do at the Heritage House. So it was all hands on deck, and I think we all have a lot to be proud of.
Yeah, and we'll have more opportunity to debrief a little bit in some sort of a compilation, because there's a lot to say, but we've got other business on our agenda right now. Thank you very much, CEO Morris. We have no committee of the whole consent reports. Priority issue number 9.1 is the CIP project on 1723 Beckwith Street. And Marie Elmsley is going to speak to us.
Good evening, everyone. In 2024, Council approved the application for the Rideau Heartland Building at 17 to 23 Beckwith Street South. The approved project included installing a new roof made with corrugated steel installed in standing seam style, similar to the old post office building. Replace the window in the roof area, install new tiles, some landscaping, sanding and repainting hand and stair rails, and parging the foundation wall. The owner has requested that Council amend the agreement to accept the roof that's been installed, to approve the removal of the window, and to use concrete on the stairs instead of tile. When the owner installed the current roof, staff and the evaluation committee determined that it differed substantially from what was expected in the project. The current flat gray roof, combined with the requested change from tile to gray smooth concrete, will further reduce the visual impact and as will removing the window. Staff recommend that Council do not alter the funding agreement, meaning that the owner will need to adhere to the original project agreement if funds are to be released when the project is complete. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
My colleagues, Councilor Byers.
I guess the question is, why is it coming to Council if the agreement was signed one way, they didn't do it that way? Is it within staff's authority on the program to not say that it wasn't completed and the funding won't be released? CEO Morris, or?
Through you, Chair. Staff don't have authority to change the agreements. So when we deemed the project not completed the way it should have been, the owner asked if we would approach Council to change the agreement.
Okay. So I agree with the staff recommendation, and I appreciate that you guys went to the extra effort to bring it to us, but unfortunately the work wasn't done the way we agreed for it to be done.
Okay. Mayor Penko.
Yeah, I too support the staff recommendation, and I mean we set standards that we expect. We're using public funds to support these changes, these improvements, and I think if we were willing to make a change at this stage, it lowers the bar for expectations in the future, and sets a table that in the future people could decide that they want to change mid-course and expect to be funded from the town. So no, I support the recommendation.
And I see Councillor Miller nodding agreement. So you have a consensus on Council that we support staff recommendation that that we do not accept what the proponent has been asking us, and they're not eligible for the money. Thank you very much. 9.2, reimagine the reach. We all had a very intimate relationship with the reach this last 10 days.
So,
Director Clark.
thank you.
Please.
Well, the timing is great. So I'm bringing back the Lower Reach Park redesign. This is the third time that it's been presented. I am obviously alone this evening, as I don't know that there were no further questions for our contractors from FO10 last time, so I let them have the night off. I'm just seeking your support to adopt the redesign plan in principle, giving us a clear long-term vision for Smith Falls' largest and most important park. And I think we think we had about 3,500 people there packed into a tight little space for the drone show. So it is very well used and very well loved. And we'd like to make sure that we have decades more use coming out of it in a nice way. So Lower Reach is obviously our largest outdoor recreational asset. It's a waterfront hub, and the redesign addresses the aging infrastructure, accessibility, and environmental challenges that exist, while hopefully building in flexibility for our future needs. Specifically, this version of the plan addresses the concern that was brought up at the last conversation, which is the location of the dog park. That's been placed in the area that we had discussed, and everything else pretty much remains the same. So I am seeking your support this evening to adopt the plan in principle.
Okay, Councillor Miller.
First of all, Director Clark, the park looked great during the event and the whole town looked great. So thank you to the staff. You said it so perfectly. I think you left the rest of us speechless when you passed on your thanks earlier tonight. So I know we're all tired, but it was pretty spectacular. Thanks for your work. So I appreciate the changes you made in this plan, including the dog park adjustment. And so I really like that we now have sort of a roadmap for what this could look like. It's not going to all happen tomorrow or in our term or maybe even next term, but I think this helps guide the decisions that will be made in the future. So thank you. I support it.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Panko and Councillor Brennan.
Thanks, Stephanie. I too supportive of this in principle. I think spending all the time we spent down there over the last week or so helped us identify or understand some of the limitations with it, despite staff's great efforts at keeping the parking lot graded and everything else being looked after impeccably. But the design does impede some of the challenges, some of the things we'd like to see. So certainly support this going forward. Look forward to budget discussions and how we're going to approach the redevelopment, but overall, no, I think the changes we've made I'm fully supportive of and look forward to this coming back in the fall for some dollars for next year.
Perfect.
Councillor Brennan.
I do too. Thank you for that. And it is a roadmap, and the decisions we make probably are going to be minimal compared to the next term and the next term. And hopefully it's done by next Old Home Week. But I think that the design here is really good, and just comment that the ropes along the berm with no parking, I think maybe that may be alleviated with the parking arrangements you have now, and I think that's very important. So look forward to maybe having a small part and starting this up, but thank you for the work.
Councillor McGuire.
Thanks. Yeah, coming through Float Fest, I could just picture the beach where it's going to be there. I think it'll be a great location, and I've got positive feedback from the dog park being adjusted, so that's a big improvement. My two comments on it would be, I still think the best place for a pump track would be up by the rink, and where we've got the public dock, the new public dock. If there's no boat launch, then we won't be able to get the Voyager canoes in for Paddle Fest and those kind of activities. So last comment is with the trails, where I think the trails in here have a 3-meter trail for the main one that goes along the waterfront, and 1.8 meters for the smaller ones. And I'm wondering if we could upgrade those to 3.5 meters and 3 meters to match the trail standards.
Yep.
But yeah, I think this is, I really want to see in 2050 that this has been built out. I hope it's not like the last one where it's still a work in progress later. So if there's consensus for the trail stuff, I think that organization would be an improvement, but minor comments.
Do you want to comment on that?
Sure, yeah. So I think that was a good catch. And I think what's next is to, as I've brought a number of different plans to you, and I'm not just a dreamer and a planner, I have a plan to knit it all together. So the next step would be to actually bring those pieces together, include the trail standards, include the accessible playground structure, all that kind of stuff, and kind of map it out a little bit more specifically for the next 10 years, which would include obviously adhering to the standards that we set. So to that point.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thanks. I fully support it. I think it's well designed, and as Councillor Brennan said, I certainly hope it's done by the next Old Home Week. But I think it will be a huge improvement over what we've got there now, and a better utilization of the land that we have. So congratulations.
And so I'll just make, I think it's one of the most comprehensive plans we've had, and the most, one of the highest public participation in the design and feedback as we went along.
Mhm.
And so that really gives me confidence in the plan because we've had such a robust community engagement around it. I think we had the right professionals under your leadership to pull this together. So I too support it. So you have unanimous support for approving this in principle.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
9.3, Clerk Costello is going to talk about voting next year.
Sorry?
We could put on the agenda for tonight.
You have to go through the prior, way prior to the meeting. It won't be tonight. Won't be tonight. You talk to Carrie.
I just need to do this presentation. I'll come and see you right after. So I bring forward a report this evening regarding the 2026 municipal election. It's already in the works. We've been planning this for a number of months with the clerks in Lanark County. So bringing forward a report this evening to get your authorization to bring forward internet telephone voting for 2026, as well as delegate authority to the clerk for the vendors that we're using, and to authorize the mayor and I to sign those agreements. So we did use internet telephone in the 2022 election. We used internet telephone previous to that and incorporated the paper ballot. But I'm going back in my history here when I started. I think we've used every method available. We've done paper ballot when I started. We've went through vote by mail, and now we have grown into internet telephone. Looking for any questions council may have regarding internet telephone voting. I will note that the provider we're looking at using IntelliVote, who's been a provider for a number of years, and looking to work with all the municipalities within the county, more for economies of scale. The more communities in the agreement, the lesser cost per elector. So the agreement or the report does denote the costs associated with the internet telephone voting method. We're looking at a cost of $25,000 to $40,000, depending on the number of electors. As well, also you're looking at postage rates because people do still get a PIN or a voter notification letter. So those costs are very approximate, depending on postage at the time, as well as the number of electors. For this report, we did use the number of electors at the close of the 2022 election. So just looking to take any questions council may have or any comments regarding this method.
Councilor Brennan.
Yeah, I support it. I just wanted to know, since we've done this before, right? The last time, were there any problems with people trying to use the help center downstairs to vote who either are not computer literate or had, other physical problems in voting?
So we had a workstation or a help center downstairs in our lobby. We had 2 computers set up for anybody who needed assistance, and we always had staff available to help anybody who came in who either needed to be added to the list or they needed assistance using the internet telephone method. We did also open up on a Saturday to catch people who couldn't come in between the working hours from Monday through Friday. There was no issues with the help center downstairs. It actually wasn't used as much as we thought it would be, but we would still offer the same service for people who don't have internet or computer access in their homes.
Right, Councilor McGuire.
Thanks. I think the previous elections, it's worked really well and look forward to using it again. And I'm just wondering, we've got a lot of residents at Lanark Lodge that aren't able to come to Smith Falls to vote. Would it be possible to set up a help center voting booth there for an afternoon?
So depending on residents, depending on where they're living at the time of the election would all depend. But you do bring up a point about our seniors home in town here. And that is something that we think of every year, regardless of the method we use. So we do have staff that travel to each nursing or retirement home to assist all the residents who wish to vote. With use, we take iPads with us and we walk them through the process so that they also have the opportunity to vote. And internet telephone also gives them the opportunity to have somebody within their family to assist them in case they're worried about confidentiality.
Great, thank you.
Consensus. I'm supportive of the recommendation. I mentioned to the clerk earlier that if council was interested, I'm interested. The method of voting is really important, but that's the how-to. I'm wondering about a report in the next few months about how we can get our voter participation up. Is there anything that town can be doing to encourage people to actually use this really? Because our numbers keep going down and across the board, and some municipalities have initiatives in the year leading up to the election to try and promote why it's important to vote in municipal elections. So I looked at my colleagues and see if we could ask staff or council if they, not tonight, but if they have ideas on how we can improve voter turnout. Councilor Brennan, did you want to?
Not on that subject,
Okay.
but and off topic again. But are there changes in the nomination process in terms of people that are thinking and want to run for council or mayor from last time to this time?
Not that I'm aware of. As council may recall, many months ago now, we did bring forward a report for proposed changes to the Municipal Election Act. Those haven't been implemented, and I don't anticipate they will be until 2026.
Okay, through the chair. So that's the same process for
2030, pardon me. So it'd be the same process as
But
previous
you still have to get signatures to.
endorsements.
Okay,
correct.
thanks.
Yeah, so what I'm talking about is how do we get, we only had
Yeah.
like 38 or 40% people voting that were eligible, and we would all love to have more people voting and more people running. And if there's anything we could do as a municipality to encourage that, it's a really important part of our democratic process. So if there was interest, I'd be happy to, Mayor Penko.
You know, I would agree completely, and maybe it's even a matter of bring a report back, but simple things like maybe hosting an open house where people can connect. Anyone who's interested in running can show up, and we can have a discussion on what municipal life is like and things like that. But all kinds of initiatives that we can probably.
Yeah, just trying to get more people
Yeah, no, I agree.
engaged. It's really important part.
Yeah.
So there's an interest in doing, and we could. I'm happy to talk to the clerk after. But
Sure.
like scope, but not. We're not going to spend a ton of money, but perhaps there's some things we can do through public awareness. And all right, so there's interest in doing that, and you have support
Thank you.
for the voting methodology you brought forward, and it's consistent with the rest of the county.
It is, yes.
Great. Do we have any committee, board, or external organization updates? Seeing none. We have three correspondence items. One from the Village of Burkes Falls regarding opposition to proposed installation of battery energy storage systems. Any comments on that one? I have a comment, but it's not as much an issue for an urban municipality. They tend to be remote. However, they are a really important piece of our energy infrastructure. And I get Burkes Falls wants more an improved process on how they get approved, but I don't want to, I'm not saying they're not in my backyard, but there is some of that. They are really important piece of our energy system. So I hope that we're able to, with the province and municipalities, find a way of expanding their reach. Again, it's easy for us to say that we're not going to have a storage facility in the middle of our town. The other one is a resolution from the city of Pickering, another really important one, encouraging the provincial government to significantly raise payments for Ontario Works and Ontario Disability Support Program. And Mayor Panko.
Yeah, no, I certainly would like to support this initiative by Pickering. As you're aware, we've been a delegation with the parliamentary assistant at Rome, I believe it was last year, advocating on behalf of our citizens for more support for those relying on OW and ODSB. So I think this is a great initiative. We can show that our voice to the cause.
We've also declared a food emergency here in our community as well. So if there's interest, I'm not sure how we would, I don't think they're asking for, other than perhaps writing a letter. Is that what you're suggesting?
Sure. Yeah.
Is there interest in council in doing so? Yes, okay, thank you. And the last one was the resolution from the municipality of Tweed, reducing, which is one of our favorite topics, producer responsibility for blue boxes. And we've learned just in July from our Director of Public Works about ineligible source locations for picking up recyclables. And by the way, it costs the citizens of Smith Falls $70,000 a year for that. And the letter suggesting that that's a provincial responsibility and an oversight when they laid out this legislation, and they'd like it corrected, that producers who are creating this surplus of packaging should be responsible for paying for picking it up and not our ratepayers. So it was a good letter. I think we, if my recollection is correct, this council was concerned about that responsibility as well.
Agreed.
Is there an interest in supporting that as well? I'm sure at, did you want to speak to it?
Very briefly.
Please.
Yeah, like it's all the same recyclable stuff. They're covering people at their homes, but businesses are receiving the exact same packaging, and the taxpayers of Smith Falls have to pay for that. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's right, and we need to address it. So I'm in support of supporting that.
And some of those producers are making billions of dollars selling their products. So I think they have a better chance of funding it than our modest resources here.
Agreed.
Okay, so the action would be to support the municipality of Tweed and the resolution from municipality of South Huron, that asking the province to revisit that particular exemption. Okay. We have an in-camera item now, and for those of you who are familiar with that, it means that council will be leaving this room and going in to discuss a matter, a very confidential matter regarding identifiable individuals. And we'll be back, we'll probably be, we have two items. I'll just let people know. We'll be leaving the room to discuss a matter about, personal matter about an identifiable individual. And the second part of that is legislation allows us to go in camera to discuss the acquisition or disposition of land. And so I did want to see if, I know some people come in and wanted to talk about something, but that's not on tonight's agenda, but I know that we might be able to help you just to clarify what your interest is. But because we're going to be leaving the room and coming back in about, I can't guarantee 30 minutes, but so if you can stick around, but you won't be on the agenda tonight. But we could talk about what you're. So, council. The council corporation of the town of Smith Falls is provided in section 239 of the Municipal Act as amended, move into a closed session at 5:28 to discuss a personal matter of an identifiable individual. Moved by Councillor Miller, second by Councillor Brennan. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We'll be back as quick as we can. right, thank you very much for your patience while we were in camera. Council provided staff with direction regarding acquisition or disposition of land. Item number 13 is notice of motions. Seeing none. Following this, we're having a council meeting, so this committee of the whole meeting will adjourn. The committee of the whole adjourn its proceedings at 6:08 and stand so adjourned until next duly called meeting of council. Moved by Councillor Miller, seconded by Councillor Brennan. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you.
Brief recess. Welcome back to this meeting of Smith Falls Town Council for Monday, August 11th, 2025. On August 11th, 2025, we acknowledge that the sacred land in which Smith Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and has rich and indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We're also grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who care for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We're also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, be mindful of generations to come. I'll call the meeting to order at 6:12 p.m. Motion for approval of the agenda is with Councillor McGuire, please.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McKenna that the August 11, 2025 special council meeting agenda be approved as circulated.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire, seconded by Councillor McKenna, that the August 11th, 2025 special council meeting agenda be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. As for disclosure of pecuniary interest and or conflict of interest or general nature thereof, seeing none, we have no minutes to approve. Any reports for anyone today? I assume not in the special meeting. Thank you. I have no presentations or proclamations myself. We have no consent agenda. We have one motion with Councillor McGuire.
Your worship, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Robinson. The council adopt the Lower Reach Park redesign in principle, recognizing that future phases will be subject to budget deliberations and future council approval.
Thank you. Further discussion, Councillor McGuire.
Yeah, so this has been adjusted following some feedback from our committee of the whole meetings. At unanimous support of COW, we're going to up the width of the trails to 3.5 meters and 3 meters. But other than that, hopefully we'll see budget investments over the next 10 to 20 years that will have this built out in time for Old Home Week 2050.
Hopefully much sooner than that. Okay. Any other comments? Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire, second by Councillor Robinson. The council adopt the Lower Reach Park redesign in principle, recognizing that future phases will be subject to budget deliberations and future council approval. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And our bylaw this evening is with Councillor McKenna, please.
Thank you, Worship. Moved by myself, second by Councillor McGuire. That a bylaw to provide to undertake the 2026 municipal election through the use of alternative voting method, internet/telephone, be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McKenna, second by Councillor McGuire. The bylaw to provide to undertake the 2026 municipal election through the use of alternative voting method, internet/telephone, be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Carried. Discussion, Councillor McKenna?
Yes, the clerk, along with the other clerks throughout Lanark County, have reviewed this option, which this community used 4 years ago almost. And they're recommending that across the county, including Smith Falls, adopt the method similar to the last municipal election. It happens to be the most cost-effective method and would likely cost somewhere between $25,000 and $40,000, depending on how many people vote. The other options were $60,000 to $80,000 or around $70,000 to go back into the old paper ballot method, which many municipalities across the country are moving away from. There will be special support for anyone who requires it to use the internet telephone voting method that will provide that. And there'll be more opportunities that the corporation will engage with the community to both let them know how to vote and why it's so important to vote.
Can you move a third reading, please?
Again, moved by myself, second by Councillor McGuire, that a bylaw to provide to undertake the 2026 municipal election through the use of an alternative voting method, internet/telephone, be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10634-2025.
Thank you. It's moved by Councillor McKenna, second by Councillor McGuire. The bylaw to provide to undertake the 2026 municipal election through the use of the alternative voting method, internet/telephone, be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10634-2025. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And our final piece of business is with Councillor Brennan.
Thank you. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Miller, that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting on the 7th, 14th, 21st days of January 2025 be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brennan and seconded by Councillor Miller. The bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council at its meeting on the 7th, 14th, and 21st days of July 2025 be received and read the first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Discussion, Councillor Brennan?
Yeah, it's procedural and ensures that the minutes of the meetings are public.
Third reading, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Miller, that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting on the 7th, 14th, and 21st days of July 2025 be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10635-2025.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brennan, seconded by Councillor Miller, that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting on the 7th, 14th, and 21st days of July 2025 be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10635-2025. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. The motion for adjournment is with Councillor Robinson, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Brennan, that this council adjourn its proceedings at 6:17 p.m. and stand so adjourned until the next duly called meeting of council.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Robinson, seconded by Councillor Brennan. This council adjourns proceedings at 6:17 p.m. and stands so adjourned until the next duly called meeting of council. All in favor? We are adjourned. Good night, everyone. 5 minutes.